Hello, everyone, and welcome. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to get started here shortly. Just wanted to say hello as people begin to arrive for our session. I would encourage you to use the chat during our time together. So please go ahead, introduce yourself, say who you are and where you're from. It's a chance for us to begin to connect. So thank you for joining us today, and we'll get started here shortly. Got a few more people we want to allow to enter who have signed up. So we're just going to give them a second. Again, we encourage you to use the chat. So if you're joining us today, please, if you would, introduce yourselves. In the chat, you can put your name and where you're from, add an organization that you're with or representing today. Excellent. Caroline from Together We Learn. Welcome, Caroline. Lovely to have you with us today. This is excellent. Yes, please, if you're just joining us, we have Darren from No Means No from Chicago. Catherine in Tucson, Arizona. Welcome, Catherine. Patty Patel from New York City. Fabulous. Thank you for joining us, Patty. This is great to have you here today. Thanks for your support. All right, we've got, we're going to give everybody just another minute or two. Maya in the UK. Oh, well, I think you may win the award outside of staff for the attendee who's come the farthest. Molly from No Means No. This is great. Kylie, from Denmark. Excellent. Welcome, Kylie, a student from Absalon University. Welcome. So lovely to have you, Barbara Henze. Excellent. Welcome, Barbara, and hello. There are going to be people here that I know today, so this is fun and exciting. Thanks, Barbara. Nandita, our newest team member at No Means No. Welcome, Nandita. Fabulous to have you here. We're going to give everybody just about one more minute. So if you're joining us, please, if you would, introduce yourselves, say where you're located. It's fun to know where people are joining us from today. So we like to have that interaction. Just going to give it a few more seconds. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Thank you so much for engaging with us in the chat. All right. Rupali from India. Oh my goodness. Okay. Such a great, diverse group from all over. This is exciting to see people. Mickey from Holidays. Hello, Mickey. Fun to have you joining us today. I think Diane Osgood is joining us as well. So great to see you all. Thank you so much. Hind, one of our fabulous staff. All right. Well, with that, I could keep going, but please keep using the chat, keep introducing yourselves to each other. Now, I'm going to go ahead and kick us off and get us started. So happy International Women's Day, everyone. So lovely to be able to welcome you to No Means No Worldwide's first ever Insights Call. This is a program that we plan to continue, and we will actually be asking for your feedback and input as to what other topics you might like for us to cover. I am the executive director of No Means No Worldwide, and I'm calling in from Bethesda, Maryland. So welcome again to all of you. Joining me today are also a couple of members of our No Means No staff. They are truly rock stars. We have Caroline Momani, who is joining us from Nairobi, Kenya. You'll be hearing from her next. And poor Craig Dubé, who is also on our staff and is trying desperately to join us. He's calling in from Pretoria, South Africa, and is supposed to be part of our presentation, but lost his internet signal, and we were concerned about that. Apparently, he's madly driving around in his car right now trying to get a signal so he can join us. If he's unable to, we have Darren Fink, who's also on our staff, who will step in for Craig if he's unable to get that signal eventually. And Darren is calling in from Chicago, Illinois. So you'll be hearing from all of them shortly. So today, in terms of what we're going to be covering, we're going to be talking about who we are. We're going to be talking about what we do. And we're also going to be sharing with you a physical move. So one of our self-defense moves that is simple but incredibly powerful and effective. So you'll be leaving with an additional skill today, and we're happy to share that with you. Caroline will have the chance to get physical with you later in this presentation. So if you're not familiar with No Means No worldwide, our mission is to end sexual and gender-based violence against youth, children, and women globally. We were founded in 2013, and we are presently working in 10 countries. Our goal is to, in the next couple of years, to begin reaching 1 million children a year with our skills-based curricula. It teaches youth between the ages of 10 and 20 about the importance of consent in relationships, for example, healthy masculinity, appropriate boundaries in relationships, how to be an upstander when you witness something that an attack perhaps that's about to happen, and even how to break away from a perpetrator. So these are part of, we have verbal, we have physical skills that we teach children, and Caroline and Craig or Darren will be telling you more about that. The way we deliver this program is we are a train the trainer organization. So we will partner with another organization that's on the ground in a particular community. We will train their trainers from their staff who will then go back into, for example, schools to deliver the curricula to youth, usually between the ages of 10 and 20. It's a proven model, it's evidence-based, it's been studied rigorously by ourselves and also by universities. And that makes it for an even more popular program, also because we are one of the few who offers a violence prevention program like this that is directed at both boys and girls. We have a team that just finished up with a men's training of trainers in Uganda, and we now have a No Means No team that is in Zimbabwe about to start a women's Train the Trainer program. So just gives you a little bit of overview of No Means No. I'm going to turn it back over to Caroline. Oh, no, wait, I have one more slide. Sorry. Thanks, Molly. Sadly, there's a great need for the curricula that we deliver. And on International Women's Day, it's good reason for us to have pause for a moment and recognize the fact that 1 in 3 women will, in fact, around the world experience physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. We are so pleased to offer a curricula that is aimed at youth that can actually help to prevent attacks and prevent violence. And we are so thrilled to be able to share with you more today about this incredible, impactful work that we are doing. At the end, I'm going to give you, we have a short little list of some other ways that you can get involved. We will finish before 12:30, have a little bit of time for Q&A. If people want to stick around until 12:45 for additional Q&A, we are happy to go over and go till the 12:45 mark. So with that, thank you so much again for being here today, everyone. I'm going to turn it over to Caroline.
Thank you very much, Leanne. So just to share with you a bit more about our No Means No program, it has 2 very critical components. And the first component is the No Means No curriculum, which is a 10-hour long and delivered in a series of 1 to 2 hour classes. Our program is designed for youth between the ages of 9 to 20 and plus. We have a unique curriculum for both our girls and boys program, and our classes at any given time are delivered by 2 certified No Means No instructors. Programs are mostly delivered delivered live to young people in community spaces, and this could be schools, community centers, and any spaces that young people have access to in the communities that they live in. For the girls, the curriculum is very skill-based. We teach girls mental, verbal, and physical self-defense skills that they can use to prevent any form of violence that they might experience in their lives. The mental skills that we teach help develop girls' sense of self-efficacy and a greater feeling of empowerment. The verbal skills that we teach also include the use of assertiveness, boundary setting, and saying no. And finally, we do teach some physical self-defense for use in situations where it's the best or the only option. The second component of the No Means No program is what we call the network referral system. And this is where we work with our partners to deliver programs. We work with them in our communities. And in these communities, we help them to put in place a network referral system to manage disclosures and referrals. Many of the youth participating in these classes, we recognize that they are living in trauma and histories of abuse. And when they do share this during the classes, it's important that we have a defined process in place so that the child or the young girl attending gets the care and service options that they need to start or to embark in the path of healing. And to do this, we work with our partners to clarify that process and to identify the referral services that are available. And this is if they are not already identified by our partners. At No Means No, when we implement our program, this program is largely centered or based on the empowerment self-defense philosophy. And it's important for you to know that for us, self-defense is not martial arts, and it's not just about fighting. We do teach skills in self-defense, but more than half of self-defense skills focus on our spirit and our voice. ESD gives us many strategies to respond to any type of violence. And here at No Means No Worldwide, empowerment self-defense to us is anything we do, say, or believe that helps keeps us safe. We are currently working with our various partners in South Africa, in Ethiopia, Nigeria, Uganda, Zambia, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and soon we will be in Mexico, being our newest partner at the moment. So we ask ourselves, why is our work so important that we invest so much to work in these countries and in these communities? It's important because of young people like Zenele in Bulawayo, who after taking part in the No Means No program, realized that she has real power from within to react to any situation. And this was also the case for Rashida in Kampala, who felt well equipped with options, that is the mental, verbal, and physical skills to use at any given time. And for Pam in Cape Town, what she said to us that we will keep thinking about as we continue implementing is that knowing that I am worth defending is indeed life-changing. I'll pass it on to Darren.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Like it was mentioned at the beginning, our dear trainer, Craig, is not able to join us today. So I'm going to be filling in his place and talking a little bit more about how we engage our boys and our men in our programs. So earlier, Leanne had spoken to the need of our program, the growing need for this type of intervention. And our mission really in No Means No is to end sexual violence. And to do this, we know that it's as important to engage our girls and our women, and as well as engage men and boys in this program in working against sexual violence. We know that we do know that girls and women experience sexual violence. We also know that men and boys can also experience, as well as we know that in SGBV is a problem commonly perpetrated by men. So it's really important for us to approach, working with men and boys, bringing them into this conversation and really having deep discussions on sexual violence, how it's perpetuated in their communities, and really have conversations to evoke this change that we're looking to create. So, and kind of deeper into our program, what are those key things we teach boys and young men in our programs? Our boys program advocates for whole community involvement, and it takes in a holistic approach in fighting sexual violence through involving men. So we challenge existing gender perceptions, attitudes, and stereotypes that exist. And in the process, create community of men who are champions of gender justice. So many of the things, the specific things that we talk about in our men's program, our boys program, is anything from personal safety, positive masculinity, and redefining some of those rigid gender roles that commonly exist in the communities that our men and boys are living in. We're also looking to debunk a lot of those harmful rape myths and stereotypes and victim blaming messaging that it exists. And also boys learn about the cycle of force and violence. They learn about consent and how to successfully be a bystander and intervene in a situation of violence. And boys also learn de-escalation techniques that they can use to calm a tense situation down, or something that's escalated, they can bring that down. Something that we also learn in our girls program. So just in general, why is this work so important? Again, we know that ending SGBV, ending sexual and gender-based violence cannot be solely done by just working with women in the community. We know that men play a huge role in this as well, and by able to have these conversations and be able to intervene specifically with the men, we see the impact of this programming having a sustainable and a holistic, approach. And, we're really looking for that. And I can say, at least for myself, I've never run a men's training, but I had, a few opportunities recently to run a women's training alongside a men's training as well, and being able to see, our approaches, the complementary nature of both of these interventions. You can see how, especially partners, when they are going and able to address both the men and the women in their community, you can see the systemic change really sinking in deep, and the empowerment that it then brings upon. Yep, so that's a little bit about this program. I think I'm going to turn it back over to Caroline for a little demonstration.
Thank you very much, Darren, for that. So at the heart of our programming are skills that any one of you joining here can learn, and that we want to leave you with today. And the one skill that I want to leave you with is how to say a strong no. And this is a no that is clear, it's a no that is confident, and it's a no that is direct. So to do this, we will learn what we call the fighting stance. And this is just basically how you stand when you're practicing self-defense. And very simple, you can follow through with me as I demonstrate. First, you stand with your feet shoulder width apart. Apologies that you can't see my feet, but you can trust that they are shoulder width apart. And then you'll take a step back with your strong foot or your dominant foot, the foot that you use to maybe kick a football with. You will slightly bend. And the purpose of bending is to ensure that you're stable and that you're well balanced. So a slight bend is good for you. You will put your hands out in front of your chest, and your palms would be facing forward, and your elbows will be tucked in. Yeah, and this is the universal sign for no. Finally, you will firmly say no. And this is whereby we encourage you to use a deep voice, or let it be deep. Let the no come from your belly and not from your throat, where it would be squeaky. And just to demonstrate, I can also at this point welcome you to unmute yourself, and let us all say no, or a firm no, a confident no, and a direct no together. No. One more time. No. So that is what we are leaving you today. And we also want you to remember that no is indeed a complete sentence. Thank you very much. And I hand it over to Leanne.
Thank you so very much, Caroline. Fabulous. I'm sorry we weren't able to unmute all of you so that you could participate in that. I hope that you were joining us at home. And it's such a powerful skill and such a simple tool that we can all have in our toolbox as a way to be forceful in a particular situation. So thank you so much, Caroline. I also just wanted to say thanks to Darren for pitching in today. And Craig, we hope that we can get you back on one of these another time. I also want to recognize Molly, who's our communications and marketing director, who put all of this together for us today. So Molly, thank you for all of your hard work to make this happen. So thank you so very much. What I'd like to do is transition next to, and then we're going to wrap up and take your questions. And talk a little bit about ways that you can get involved. So here's a great list. I am happy to talk with any of you about any of these ideas. If you'd like to learn more or just have a conversation and talk more about No Means No, let's do a virtual coffee. I'm more than happy to do that and tell you how you can get involved. So sign up for our newsletter. That's one simple step that you can take to stay in contact with us and know what's happening. Follow us on social media. We're really trying to get those numbers up. So we're on all the platforms. Would really appreciate you reposting, retweeting our content as well. We have some up today for International Women's Day. You can host a fundraiser. You can make a donation. You can intern with us. You can tell your friends about what you learned today. Maybe teach them the forceful, positive way to be able to say no. You can buy swag from our online shop, which just went up yesterday. So thanks, Molly, for making that happen. We now have swag, people. You can get your t-shirts, get your coffee mugs, and we'll be adding to that as time goes on. And one of the most important things you can do is join us. Join us as a part of this movement and our mission to end sexual and gender-based violence by being a champion for equity and being a champion for consent. The more we talk about it, the more we use that lens and bring it to our work, the more change we're going to be able to affect. And also, as I mentioned, this is our first ever Insights call, and we would like to do more of these. What topics would you like us to cover? What would you like us to discuss next? It could be more of our curricula. We could bring more skills and teach those, but perhaps there's another topic that you would like for us to dig into a little bit further at No Means No. So happy to do that. If you've got suggestions, you can drop them in the chat. Molly's been putting links in the chat throughout our time together. And so with that, I think we're going to stop our screen share and we are going to take your questions. So I'm going to invite Caroline and Darren and, oh my gosh, we might even have Craig to come back to take questions. Craig, are you there? And Molly, hello?
I'm here. Hi, everyone. Happy International Women's Day. I am truly sorry that I couldn't join you earlier, but I believe that we've had a wonderful talk, and I'm here to answer any questions that may be posed by the audience. And thank you, Darren, for filling in.
Excellent, Craig. Oh my goodness, so glad you made it. All right, so Molly, what questions do we have for the team?
Yeah, thanks everyone. I'm pulling a few questions that people put in the Q&A today. So one question was around, scaling up, and Caroline sort of ran through where we have programs, and there was a question about where are we going next, and what does that look like?
Well, that's a great question, and we are in discussion now with additional folks, other organizations who have interest. It's to be determined, but just to give you a little bit of insight, I will say that we are very much interested in bringing this program to other communities within the United States and building out within Latin America as well. So yes, plans for those locations in the works, or discussions are underway.
Great. So exciting. So one other thing someone asked in the chat was, and maybe Caroline, this might be a good one for you, is how is this empowerment self-defense, like how is what we teach different from like a self-defense class that I might go take at my local dojo, or, you know, your traditional self-defense class?
Thank you very much for that question, and thank you for joining. The difference is only one, that our program solely concentrates on the holistic empowerment. So it's from within and then out. And as we said, it's not so much on the skill, but so much on the spirit. Yeah, that you believe you're worth defending, and that you have all these strategies that you can use if and when you require them. And then within our programming, you also have access to a community as well, that you know, believe in what you believe, that is in defending yourself, and that you are worth defending as a young girl. And also that would be the same for our boys program, in whichever way that you need to intervene or empathize with the women that are facing violations or sexual assault in the communities. Thank you very much, Molly.
Thank you, Caroline. So we had one other question come through, and actually it was around our boys program. So Craig, maybe you could take this one. Somebody asked if we could explain a little bit more some of the things we teach about bystander intervention. Just sort of what's our approach to that, and sort of how do we teach that?
Thank you, Molly. So bystander intervention is just one of the few things that we teach, including I think the main component of bystander intervention is de-escalation. So when we teach boys to intervene in a situation, we're saying approach that situation in a manner where you want to de-escalate the situation. So it's not about fighting, it's not about confronting, but it's about de-escalation. So the main goal of our program, especially for the boys' side, is safety. So is it safe to intervene? Is it, I think someone just sent it in the chat here. So empowerment, self-defense, that's the main thing that we teach. I'm really sorry for that. So yeah, it's empowerment, self-defense, de-escalation, and safety. I hope that answers that question.
I think you did. Thank you, Craig. There was another question here about any advice on how we can bring ESD methods and outcomes to our communities if we're not in the regions of focus you mentioned, such as perhaps in the UK. Leanne, can I throw that one over to you?
Sure. Thank you for the question. Yes, that would be something that we would be happy to talk with you about, to explore what the options might be. We have a criteria that we use when it comes to selecting additional partners and locations for delivering the curricula. So I put my email in the chat. You can send a note. I will pass you along to the appropriate staff person, but we get so many requests for this program that we've developed a process for evaluation, but would be more than happy to speak with you. We also have some additional materials that are free that we can pass along. So yes, just send an email. I'll get you to the right person, and we'll have a conversation.
Thanks, Leanne. And that actually, there was another question I think that you just addressed as well. Someone had a question about plans to expand into Europe. And so if you are more interested, let's get in touch, and we can put you in touch with our partnerships team. One question I thought, Darren, actually, I think you might be very well positioned to answer in terms of contextualization. How do you include national partners in working within cultural differences within each country? Maybe you could speak a little bit to our contextualization.
Absolutely. Great question. Molly had just alluded, one thing that we are continuing and even more so focusing on is truly contextualizing our program for each new training or new context that we work in. What this looks like for our current practices is, especially our training when we work with a new partner or a new group of trainers who will then eventually go and be able to deliver this curriculum. When we're first start working with that partner, we do look for opportunities to be able to add in adapted, any adaptations that make sense for that context. And we work directly to be able to add some of that into the curriculum. We've also been translating our curriculums for some new projects so that it is easier to deliver in contexts where maybe English isn't widely spoken with the girls or boys in our program. And then the other part is our training is highly open to discussions about specific contexts, about specific situations that are in each community that we work in, whether that's cultural, whether that's traditional practices. But a lot of our program has been built so that we have a highly participatory learning process where our trainers open discussions where we can learn from our instructors. It's not just us delivering information to our instructors, but our instructors are also giving us valuable information in the context for each project. So it's kind of an evolving process with our contextualization, but one part that's very much true is that we work really closely with our partners and our instructors to make sure that what we are delivering in each new community makes sense for that community and is accessible to that community as well. I hope that answered the question. Feel free to add anything else.
I just want to acknowledge that we're at 12:30 and we promised half an hour. We will stay on and go till 12:45. We know that some of you may need to leave. And so thank you. If that's you, thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a pleasure. We hope that you will join us for the next one of these sessions. Thank you again and happy International Women's Day. So with that, Molly, what's our next question?
Yeah, thanks. Just again, thank you, everyone. And just a note that this has been recorded and we're also going to put this on our YouTube channel later on in the next day or two. So if you want to share this with colleagues or friends, we'll have that up later. So great. Okay, so I think, one question that came up, and I know you've sort of answered this a little bit already, Leanne, about geography. We get a lot of questions about geography, but somebody did ask, what about, do we have a program in the US or are we thinking about having a program in the US? So maybe I'll ask you that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And thanks for that question. We have actually run the program once, from my understanding, in the United States, and it was on a reservation in South Dakota. And that was in conjunction also with a team from the University of Nebraska who was doing research on the impact of the program. But that is the only time we've run the program here. And so we have great interest because we know the need is tremendous here in our own backyards as well. And so that is something that we're exploring now is we would need an implementing partner to be able to make that happen, and then also funding. So part of what our business development team is doing now is actually considering partners that we may want to approach. If you have thoughts about that, or someone on this call today actually has some connections, sits on a board, or is involved with another organization that could be an implementing partner, we would very much be interested in speaking with you about that. So, Boys and Girls Clubs come to mind, YM and YWCAs, Girls Incorporated. There's so many fabulous organizations in the United States that have a strong infrastructure are spread out across the United States that, would make sense for us to partner with, do a train the trainer model, and then implement this program with youth. USA Gymnastics would be another possibility. Sports is another avenue where we could be doing this. So yes, if you have any connections or thoughts about that, we're in the exploratory stages now and would be very interested and welcome your suggestions. Thanks.
Thanks. So another question we had, and actually, Caroline, I think I'm going to give this one to you, but certainly if anyone else wants to chime in as well. A question, this is going back to the theme of sort of different cultures and different geographies. Do we ever meet resistance in communities to our programs? And how do we handle that?
Thank you very much for that question. Good question indeed. Yes, we do meet resistance in programming when we get into the different communities we do. And this is basically because of the perspective, one, on empowerment self-defense itself. And that is why also in terms of when we start engaging our stakeholders, we put a lot of effort in trying to get their understanding. What could this mean to them? And then we move on forward to demystify those myths, that we are not teaching girls to fight, that it's not martial arts, and try to really paint a picture of what it is really, and that it is empowerment for these young women, providing all these strategies for them to use if and when they need. And also the other resistance that we would meet is when we would go in probably saying, this program is only, or rather the community will perceive that this program is only for girls, so they'll start saying, why are you not focusing on boys? But then the more we continue to engage, they would warm up and we would actually share more information that we are actually dual gender. And if they would like, we would also, implement both the boys and girls program. So we continue to provide a series of information to these communities, continue to demystify their perspective on ESD, their perspective on, the skills that we teach the girls, the kind of concepts that we also teach the boys, for them to embrace the program and work with us to understand it and implement it in the communities that we work in. Anybody else can chime in.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add and just give an example of one of our implementing partners who mentioned that they went into this community where there's a lot of practice of child marriages and rape incidences are high. And initially, they thought they were going to face huge resistance in implementing this program. But the way they approached it with one of their community initiatives was they went and talked to the community leaders, some of them who do have young children or who married young women, and then explained the benefits of the program. And because our implementing partners are local, they were able to meet face-to-face with them culturally and on the basis of the knowledge that they know how to approach elders in those communities. And those same elders in those communities were the one who were instrumental to get this program rolling throughout their communities. So you'll find that the way that our program is structured is we rely heavily on contextualization of the program. So we don't come in and say, this is a US program that we want you to implement in your organization, in your community, but this is a program that might have been developed in the US, but you can take it and modify it and contextualize it as your own. And that has been one of our huge success factors, I believe.
Thanks, Craig, and thanks, Caroline. That really helps us get a better sense of some of the, some of the resistance that we do meet and how we tackle that, and the importance of our implementing partners. So we had one more question in the chat here. Looking at our early research, it looks like there's a significant impact of the program, and the question is, has there been follow-up research to see if it continues to impact the community over the long term? Who'd like to take that one?
I'm happy to chime in and
Okay, thank you.
any of the others, if you have additional thoughts, please join in. So we have a longitudinal project that's going on right now at our innovation hub, our No Means No South Africa Innovation Hub. And for this very reason, because we need to know have updated research. We've got additional research that's coming in from Uganda also. So we're not in a position to share those results just yet. We're in the middle of those particular studies, but it is for this very reason, to maintain the rigor and to continue to monitor and evaluate to assure that we're getting the same fabulous, impactful results that we have in the past. So stay tuned. We will have more to share with you in the coming months, and look forward to getting that information out to all of you. So thanks for that question. Appreciate that.
Okay, well, I think we've answered most of the questions, and we're coming up on time here, but I'm going to ask one last question for you, Leanne, actually, if you wouldn't mind finishing us off today, which is, what are you most excited about for 2022 with No Means No Worldwide and the work we're doing?
That's such a great question. And I would love to have all of us take just a second to answer that. But yeah, I would love to hear from the others too. So be thinking of your answers for that. Well, some of you may or may not know, I joined the organization as executive director in December. So I am still new to the organization, and I am most excited about this coming year because of our opportunity to get even further into the field and deliver this program. COVID made things tough, and COVID meant that we had to pivot quickly, and it's really impressive what the staff have been able to do to deliver that program virtually. And there are still locations where that needs to happen, but we now are able to, and in fact, in some places, because COVID rates are lower, able to get on the ground and do in-person trainings again. And of course, as you can imagine, there's just no comparison between doing a virtual training, although you do what you have to do, and being in person. And so just to see the excitement of the staff, that is just fabulous and incredibly inspiring. And also just to think about the next locations and thinking about how we can get, this program is needed in every corner of the world. And so 2022 is going to be our next foray into that planning of where is No Means No strategically going to head next? How can we get to 1 million kids a year? That's the part that I'm excited to get up in the morning and go to work virtually, because we're thinking about just how to reach more children with this really impactful program. So that's what I'm excited about, but I'd love to hear from the others.
I can go off of that. I am so excited about everything that you shared, Leanne, especially the part about being able to now safely be holding some more in-person trainings and be able to go to instead of some of the virtual training that we've been able to do. But there's just no comparison to be able to train in person and be alongside your instructors and be there so much while getting them ready to deliver their programming to the girls in their community. I think another really exciting thing we have this year is that we're really at a place where we're able to foster some of our longer partnerships and be able to work more closely with some of our implementing partners who are continuing to work and have a wealth of instructors who are so dedicated to this work. And we're actually able to work with those instructors, and in some cases, we are certifying some of those instructors to be assistant trainers, to lead trainers, to be able to run their own trainings within their organizations, in their in their countries. And that is just such an exciting moment to be a part of. I can't wait to see how this year goes, and just to see some of the instructors that I did get to train now get to train others to be able to work with girls. So that's just, I can't think of a better thing than that.
For me, if time allows, I am very excited that in this coming year, we are more than ever very intentional with the values that are very strongly embedded in No Means No Worldwide. That with our partners, we intend to continue to share our passion, accept theirs, and collaborate together. Continue to work within our values around power, inclusivity, learning, and safety, and that we are intentional in our programming, and we are intentional to ensure that even our values are showcased in everything or every engagement that we do in all these communities that we're working in. That is what I'm largely excited about.
And as for me, I'm really excited that our program is scaling up. And particularly from the boys programming perspective, we're not as fully scaled up as the girls program, but it's just exciting to see the demand that is there for our program in the areas that our girls program has been existing and been successful, and also to see the success of the boys programs we're already implementing, and even demand from places that we haven't been before. So it just makes me really excited to see like the impact of our work side of where we are currently are. And I'm really hopeful that, by the end of the year, we'll probably have doubled or tripled our reach.
Those are all great answers. I'm excited for everything you are all excited about. I'm just excited to reach more young people. This just is so important that we reach more young people with these skills so that we can change the culture. And so what better way to celebrate International Women's Day than to think about what a more gender equitable world and a safer world would look like. So, all right, well, Leanne, I'm just going to toss it back over to you one last time to wrap us up here.
Well said, Molly. Well said, team. Really appreciate it. Do I not have the best job in the world? Like, this is just such an amazing organization and place to work. The mission and the staff are just incredible. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Happy International Women's Day. So glad you could join us. We look forward to interacting with you more. Please get in touch if there's any way we can be helpful to you or to continue the conversation. So thank you. Go out there and be a champion for gender equity, everybody. And no is a complete sentence. Thank you. Good to see you all.